It's for privacy reasons. So just click on got it so that you don't leave the meeting. And over to Ajinkya and Divyansh.
All right, guys, welcome to day 4 of Design Week. We started with a bang, and on our first day, it was read through general design, what designing is actually, and we sort of break down from designing, like what are the different segments of designing. There's graphic designing, there's product designing, there's UI UX, there's brand designing, and much more. And it was taken by Rahul, who is a IIT Bombay alum in designing. Next we had this, day 2. So we wanted to give you a sort of experience about brand designing, like what it looks like. So it was a sort of a logo designing. So basically, we gave you a problem statement related to a product. It was a ed tech product, and we just wanted you guys to, design a logo for that. We got 96 submissions for that, and right now we have shortlisted 15 submissions from there, and you can check them out on our Discord server. And then we sort of, pivoted towards product designing, and that was on day 3. We talked about UX research. That's the fundamental ladder, like part of the ladder, in the process of designing a product. So that was taken by Viraj and his team. They are part of 10K designers, cohort 4, and they did a recently case study on our BlueLearn server. So that was pretty good. You can check all these sessions on YouTube. So now today we have got Ajinkya. Ajinkya will be taking up a session on what is product designing and how someone can get into product designing and what a day-to-day life looks like in a product designer at a startup. So Ajinkya is a senior product designer at Cred. He was a senior product designer at Snapdeal, and he was a senior UX designer at Nearbuy. So that was pretty good. Like we are literally safe hands for today's session. So giving you up the mic, Ajinkya.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Divyansh. Uh, okay, I'll share my screen. So you guys can hear me, right? Maybe some of you can mute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Ajinkya, as has been mentioned, and I've been working for almost 10, 11 years uh, as a designer. So out of college, like when I got out of the college, like I started learning design when I was in college, and just found myself a job where I can use my creativity. So I landed as a graphic designer in an e-learning company, and that's where I used to design everything in Flash and Photoshop. And that's what basically why my first job was to create a introduction or the test manual for the Castrol and other people. So started learning that, and recent after that, what I figured out is there is more to be done for me as a designer. And this is 2010 and 11. So there was something terms like people used to call it, which is a GUI, which is a graphical user interface, and that excited me, and I wanted to give a shot. So basically, a lot of people used to call that as a web designer too, but that was more than that. I mean, you need to understand, you should have a proper understanding about the multiple devices, which is your desktop, your mobile, and how the application will look on the phone. And there were responsive websites, sites, so maybe a bootstrap and all. So whenever you design, you need to make sure of that. So yeah, I mean, I got into the UI design, and later on, what I found out is, like, as a designer, there are a lot of responsibilities and roles more than me. Other people used to take it, and turned out those were the UX designer. And at that point of time, learning UX was a bit complex, because that was only the formal education used to exist at that point of time, and it used to cost a lot. But what I figured out is, getting the knowledge from the internet, reading a blog, what is actually a user experience designer, what work they actually do. So they basically used to create a like wireframing and understand the business, and what problem they're trying to solve, and like they used to have a brainstorming sessions, and there were like a lot of UX method they used to follow, like maybe brainstorming on it and do a write down everything whichever they used to figure out. Let's say if they uh, solve for maybe a use case, let's say food delivery app, right? So what are the features they think will add a value to the user, and considering what business they are into, right? So people will just write down everything on the sticky sheets and all, and everyone will be sitting in a room. Like basically this is a design process, part of a design process. So everyone will put everything and just stick on the wall, and maybe a card sorting exercise where user will just collate the importance to, they'll basically categorize it and keep it. And that's how, like when you're defining a navigation, you have to make sure those are logical and you are trying to reach the complete flow of the product. So I mean, yeah, so I wanted to learn that too. So somehow I learned that, and maybe as I wanted to grow into in the field of design, so I wanted to get that my hands dirty on the as a UX designer. So I got an opportunity with the Nearbuy. So they were porting from the Groupon India to Nearbuy, and they were transforming their whole tool to understanding like how, because the Groupon India, the tool they were using was for the across the globe audience, and that was not specifically niche market for the Indian, like their pattern was quite different. So we had to do research and go, and basically I was looking for the customer experience part of it. So I actually came here in Bangalore, like I was in Delhi and I came here in Bangalore. And actually I used to see whenever they customer used to complain, uh, people used to, it was a call center, how they used to tackle with them, because first you have to make like people are generally calling because they're anxious and they're not sure about, so they are generally angry, right? And so what are the things basically needed to solve their queries? So what I figured out was, while doing my research, generally to solve a query, it used to take around like 2 to 3 minutes, because the data used to load it by the time they used to ask for more details. So here it can be loaded. They just can't ask a user to wait for some time and all, because that's not a good experience. So they used to ask for more detail until the data is fetched, and the process used to take a lot of time. So what we figured out is maybe loading is taking the time, because generally what we figured out is what the trend was. Uh, the query was around mostly about the recent order, and they used to load their whole journey. That used to take time. So we just, like I just suggested, let's order, if it's only the query is majorly around like first 3 orders, so just load that only. So it used to take half of the time, and the query used to get solved faster. So even the business was like, even like, so the customer support guys can focus on the next work, and even business doesn't have to spend a lot of time there. So I mean, understanding this user's problem and how you can, first you need to understand, to understand the problem to actually cater it, right? So I mean, there were a lot of studies and research, and like you need to look out for the inspiration, and there were a lot of methods, but you need to choose it which what actually works for you guys, right? So so we turned out to know that generally people uh, yeah, I mean for the customer care, just understanding them and let them know everything is in place, by the time rest of the things can be in place. Yeah, so after that, so learned UI UX and then got it into the product design, because as a designer you shouldn't be actually sticking to one place just by doing the UI or a UX. You should also know what you're building is actually impacting the business and to the user, because you are the bridge that can make the experience quite better, right? So uh, uh, sorry, like I guess, am I audible?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
are.
yeah, totally audible. Yeah.
Also, are you on the first slide or have you changed slide?
No, I'm on the first slide itself. Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean that's how. Then after learning from multiple places, I landed at Cred, like because like I knew few people in my experience, like I worked with them in Recharge and Snapdeal. So that's how, I mean, I am here as a like looking after many products. So I've been here since like February 2019 and still working on something. Uh, generally, maybe just wanted to know, like maybe if you can write down in comments, like what is our generally the student look like? I mean, they are all fresher or they already got a job, or so just wanted to understand what's the user base is here.
Yeah, all right, guys. Just put your, some kind of a age or something. Like if you guys are between 18 to 22, or you're fresher,
Or you're still in
or
college, or
yeah,
yeah.
or are you someone who is a design fanatic or is getting into designing or some? Please just drop in the chat.
Okay, how many
Um,
are you already doing a freelancing designing? 3 years experience, 3 years. So 17 is age, okay, not the years of experience, okay. I guess just started,
yeah,
so
17 is the age.
6 months of experience. So how many of you are doing already a freelancing, or because like getting a job is bit committed, and freelance work you can take it. And also in freelancing, what kind of work are you guys taking? Product designing, yeah, logo designing, or some graphics or illustration?
I guess our target audience ranges from college, who have just
Mm-hmm.
started college also, and there are some people who are having some small experience. I can see someone who's having 7 years of experience, and that's great. Yeah. Then we have freelancers who are doing freelancing in logos, illustrations, and UI UX. Then we have landing pages, product and logo designing, graphic designers. Then we have someone from 10th grade also. So I guess our audience is really
Yeah.
diversified
So
here.
wanted to know like how many are product designers, because like I can relate to them more and I can actually add insightful, thoughts. Sorry, learning UI UX design.
I guess I guess we don't really have someone who is really into product designing as a whole.
Okay, how many
Uh,
are actually interested in product designing? I mean, what aspect of the designing? I mean, if you're aware of it, if it's not, then I'll just start with some demo slides, and then I can express it. How to choose colors? I'm interested in, aware of it.
Especially the research part. I guess people are more towards
Yeah,
UX
UX
process.
processes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much idea. Wanted to. Okay, got it. So generally wanted to know all this factor. So basically, whenever you're designing, there are multiple roles in it, right? There is a user researcher, and there are people who are doing only UX. There are people only doing visual designing. Other people are doing interaction. Other people are like many people are doing motion designing, graphic designing, and a lot of people are just writing the copies for the product to because copywriting is also an art. So maybe you can call them as a designer, but generally majorly functions are user researchers, UX designer, visual designer, or a UI motion designer. And maybe if you have understanding of all of this, you can call it yourself as a product designer, because there is, I mean, product designers is as equal as UI UX designer, but it does more than because the person needs to understand the business and how, and he like it, his job doesn't end when the product gets launched, right? He has to sit on it and see whatever he has designed, how it's actually working. He has to look at the data, how is this performing, and he also needs to be open to see what people are giving the feedback on, maybe on App Store, Play Store, or social media, or if you are getting a customer support complaints and all, right? And because whenever you're designing, those are basically on your hypothesis. So product designer does a lot of job more than just creating, understanding the flow and creating it, and just doing the UI part of it. So I'll give more context about the product designing here. So basically, it doesn't matter if you like graphic designing or a motion designing. So everything has its own importance. So generally, like when I started, like people used to go for a lot of UX because it was the highest paying job, and it is still. But just knowing UX is good, but generally you should be aware of it, how UI designer functions, right? And because based on sorry, I might be a bit some. I can hear myself. Is there any echo?
No. There's no echo. There's no echo from your end. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Sure. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
So let's say for a product designer, I can give more insight. So how can you become a good product designer, or or a product designer who can get the job in the market? What kind of knowledge do you need, right? And how do you be on top of your game? What are all the things that you need to do to actually, basically you have to be open with learning a lot of stuff. Basically, so majorly, you can find a lot of inspiration on Dribble, Behance, Awards, Uplabs, and Mobin. Like Mobin, you can generally see all the app screenshots and see what these guys are doing. Basically, when you are basically like, be it a social media app or any e-commerce app, those have been designed understanding the user's needs, behavior, and how will you execute it. So giving an example, and so you might be spending a lot of time on your social media, how they hook you up, right? And they might be having your profile section. So what are the information do you need it? Like if you have to show a profile section, then there are security concerns also there, like whenever you're sharing the post about it. And I guess I'm just going here and there. Sorry for that. So coming back to this one, yeah. So look for the inspiration and just get familiar with the native platform. Generally, it used to be Microsoft. Uh, this one was also there, Windows Phone, but nowadays there are only two platforms, which is Android and iOS. Uh, so whenever you get time, just get familiar with the material design. What are the components? How is their design style? And what are the basically understanding motion, material design is important whenever you're tapping on any, when you're just a second.
Oh, Yash, can you make him the co-host again? Yash?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, thanks.
Also, sorry, I'll need access to share my screen.
Yeah, I did. I gave you that.
Sorry. Yeah. So how do you go about designing a product? So before that, like as I got to know that a lot of people are student and they are at their early stage. So basically, they need to learn about. Basically, I would call this as a Bible for learning Android patterns, because there are n number of devices in Android's world, and there are limited devices in iOS, and the processor and uh, the details of iOS are bit. So there is a lot to be done in iOS platform in iPhone, and Android there is limited because the number of OEMs and the rendering quality is different. So but it's good to know, it's good to learn all those platform in detail, so whenever you're designing, you know what are the constraint and what are the design principle to be used when you're designing it, be it a mobile. And also learn alongside it, make sure you have a understanding of how to design for the website or a web product, because generally admin dashboards and all those are more UX heavy, and these are mainly, again, depends like who are the audiences. And just keep your eyes open and learn what's the behavior whenever you're using the Instagram or the Facebook or WhatsApp. It's very simple, I mean anyone can use it. Even when TikTok came, uh, like start from the company, the CEO of the company to any panwala or chaiwala can create it. So they made it so simple, and people were just spending a lot of time on it. So they used a lot of gamification, you can call it, when you learn about how to hook the user to give the best experience to it. And also it has to be pretty intuitive. So it they and like before designing those product, you need to make sure it has to look minimal, it has to solve a problem, it has to be intuitive. And consider yourself, when actually when you are a product designer, you need to basically bridge the gap between both of them and make it, also keep it refreshed and updated based on uh, based on how people interact to your platform. Yeah. And whenever you are looking for inspiration, just go in detail, explore in depth. And basically, okay, so just be prepared. So I'll just divide this to make it more clear, the story. Just prepare yourself. So generally people says, sweat lot of in a playground rather than bleeding in a war, right? So this works here also. So whenever you're designing, as you are a student, you should be focusing more on learning and just absorb it, because the trend is changing quite a faster. So inspiration places Behance and Dribble I always go for, to see what fonts are in use, how people are using the negative space, and just the balancing of how to use the contrast. And like when you're designing for dark mode, what should be the color range you should use. And uh, basically whenever I used to learn it, when I was learning, I used to spend a lot of time and just think from a different perspective. When I'm looking at the screen, you might have seen a diagram, you will see this first, you will read this second, you will read this fourth and fifth, right? So arranging information in that order, so it plays a lot of role. How, like what font size they have kept it, what colors they have used it, and what's the composition, and how much information is good. Like generally when you're designing, and actually for a company, they'll ask you to put a lot of stuff at the first fold. Basically first fold is when you land onto something, the home screen. So basically if someone sees the information there, there are higher chances they'll get a click, and that's how they want everything to be upfront. But as a designer, you you have to make it clean and to the point, and it should be contextual when your user is using it. So finding those balance, that's why you need to learn a lot while seeing the good products. You always use more than 10 apps a day, so just make sure whenever, like, Mintra has always some kind of uh, sales running on. How do they pitch it? Amazon focuses more on the UX side of it, and they also keep the UI, but they focus more on conversion of it. So business comes first for them. So how the behavior is for them. And even you might be using Zomato and Swiggy, and something good is about Swiggy, you might be finding more interesting. So what is that factor? They both are doing the same job, but there is certain reason why you use one platform compared to the other one, right? So yeah, understanding all those, because like when you're designing lesser than 12 font size, does it's not readable. When you know that your audience is above certain age, right? So they can't read a small text, so you need to make sure that the font sizes should be a minimum of that, and maximum you can go up to anything, but make sure everything looks well composed. So this comes automatically when you have an understanding of it. So observe more, and this is for the UI perspective majorly I'm saying, but when you, it comes with the experience. I mean, there is not a static Bible written for how the UX function. When you read it, it will always say make it intuitive, and there are a lot of theories and laws is been in place. If you understand those, so you can prove it to a certain level, but there are people who are breaking the laws when designing it. So uh, you should first know the law to break it. So basically learn everything. There are resources. I mean, I would request Don Norman's website. You can, Nelson and Norman ka website. They always post a free video also for understanding how UX functions, right? What are the best practices? How to know your audiences, how to interact with them, how to, I mean, what, how, so there are a lot of gamification also involved. So what the recently I was talking to one guy, and he was trying on information, lot of information. When you want to learn something, it's bit of boring job. People find it, but when you make it more, what I would say, entertainment way, then it's become very easier to perceive anything, and you will learn a lot too. So basically the term is called like infotainment. So information plus when you have to entertainment. So again, like you might have seen a lot of translation apps, they make it a very like fun way, so even you learn it and it's very easy to understand it, but you get your work done rather than showing a whole page. Type here, you will know what does this mean. And so again, it depends use case to use case and what business you're trying to solve it. But again, those information can be you can learn from it, and just use a lot, and just be open to absorb what people are doing it and be on top of it. Whenever I'm saying just use a lot and understand. uh, Product designing, basically I'll just take an exact use case. uh, any of you can ping here what kind of we'll take a use case and we'll go step by step. What are the best practices, I mean, we can have to actually create a proper design for the app? If you can write down something, we'll just take those.
Use case for like a feature, like a
Maybe a food delivery or a medicine order, or maybe a credit card bill payment, or anything. I mean, so we'll stick to a proper use case.
um how about easing out the process for someone to get their insurance done easily? Like, I mean, just getting that insurance there by a particular one click on a button. Is that possible? Like PhonePe is doing that.
Yeah, but you should know what insurance you're buying, and there might be a number of insurance available. And like if you are only an insurance company, then you can do it, right? But where PhonePe is more of an aggregator for the insurance. And again, like one click pay, but you should, there are some terms and conditions that you should be aware of it. If that was so simple, then everyone could have done it.
Yeah.
But that's a very simple job, right? I mean, so you should. Okay, so we'll take one example and we'll just have a mock round here. Food delivery, credit, e-commerce. Okay. Appointment scheduling, healthcare. Okay, so we'll take this one, Devansh.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sure. So basically, what we'll know is appointment scheduling. So there has to be two aspects to it. There are two separate user segment here. There is a person uh, who will book it, and on the other side, a doctor will see on his calendar, right? You can be unmute, and I mean you can just be there to question something or something. So
Sure,
basically,
sure.
when you are looking for a use case specifically for appointment scheduling, so there might be in the healthcare you might be having a separate, some specific categories. So maybe you might be having a general fever or a specific one, maybe some accident, or let's say uh, because of COVID you might be having some symptoms and you want to test it out, right? So you need to select a category for what you're going, and either that this could be a specific to a hospital. Basically I'm just trying to get to the exact one and to the cohort. So we'll take a broader aspect where it's like a practo, where you just search for what problem are you facing. Let's say if you have a cold, so you'll search for the doctor or a hospital, or just you'll write a code. So when you're designing for it, you need to make sure what are the relevant doctors can help you with this, or what are the hospital nearby. Again, this matters. The user can sort this out by ratings, or maybe by a specialty or a distance. So these are the parameters. I mean, you can reach out to a specific doctor, right? So basically the flow will be user look for search for exact symptoms what he's facing, and he'll reach out to a doctor. And again, from the doctor side, on his dashboard, he'll make sure that it's updated whenever it's the empty slot. So when he make a request for, basically, whenever he look for something, and if he likes some doctor, he'll see what are the empty slots, and he'll just tap on it. He'll just book it, and maybe what the other parameter, he'll just pay the price, or maybe of the site. And on the other side, the doctor might. So again, it depends whether doctor wants to accept it or not. But generally, considering doctor generally don't reject, so he'll just accept, and it will come to his calendar. And again, when it's the app, user will make sure he has all the settings available inside the app. So if you want to cancel it, if you want to postpone it, and if he actually wants to add some document and all, so he'll update those, right? So basically, do all the research, and before designing, look for all the other what the other competitors are doing, and what is your USP for the business and the app. What problem are you trying to solve, and make sure whatever you are seeing the competitor analysis, you are making at least that or above that, right? So, and whenever you are doing it, just iterate a lot and discuss with the team member. And if you feel those information is still not enough, you would actually go and talk to the user and people around you and see, let's say, how will they approach if they want to book an appointment with healthcare services, right? So you would get some kind of ideas, and you can actually create a wireframes and just test it out, like, okay, and see how they use it. And if you feel that user should be doing something else, and if he's not doing, then try something else, because you know that that person, it's not easily for them to know, right? uh, so again, yeah, and do a and then generally get it reviewed, so people will know what you actually are doing it. And when it at a certain level, just involve your team members, maybe an engineering team or a product team or a business team. So even while you're generally uh, when you are actually building a product, you need to see the interaction part of it. It comes later, but before research and the wireframing of it, the visual design and the interaction and the motion and the development comes, right? So all the people should be aligned what you are actually building. And once it's done, you make sure that you're have instrumented all the funnels, so people are actually using it the way you wanted that to be. Uh,
Also,
so I mean,
I just wanted to
mhm,
ask you, like, when we do a competitive analysis of something, let's say there's a product and there's already a competition out there for that particular product. Let's say we take an example of a pharmacy marketplace. So basically,
okay.
we have Pharma Easy, we have NetMeds, and then I'm someone who wants to, make a product in healthcare, and it is
Mhm.
also a bit related to this marketplace scenario. So what exactly do we look for in competitive analysis when we are doing between our product and between our hypothesis and the product which is already there out there in the market?
So basically, you can use their app and see, and maybe you can reach out to their team and see. Basically, it's already in the market, so you can actually see what they are doing, and you can talk to the people in the similar audiences or a range, and how they are approaching it on it. Because every time everyone is trying to solve a same kind of problem, but in a different way. So competition, you have to be on top of it and learn. You talk to people and see what they're doing, and you can do a complete research, uh, considering the how they are interacting with it, and just note those down.
So I mean, what specifically, should we work on so that people will actually use our product? I mean, let's say even Pharma is even selling their medicines, and even my
Mhm.
product is selling that. But what more I can improve on? Like I can only improve on the user story, user journey. I mean, I can only optimize that, and that could be much just 2 clicks, and pharmacy takes 3 or 4 clicks to get a particular medicine shipped out to you. But getting that done on your product, will that be enough to attract users to our product, or is there anything more specific to be added to the?
So generally, designer can't solve everything, right? Let's say most of the business survives because they are giving cash back to the user or some discount to the user, right? People are expecting generally those, like, if I'm getting both this, like, same thing done from both the people, but majorly I might have to pay less here. So even like you're saying, it can be about like I can order in 1 click or 2 click, but here I have to click 5 click to get the same job done. But if I'm getting more benefits here, right? So it comes with like how much money you have it, so you can throw off it. And sometimes, like, more than people, like app, the experience also matters. You can pay your bill on other apps and a specific app, right? And so experience also matters, and what user gets in the return, that also matters here.
All right. Yeah, that answers my question. Like, yeah, I just was wondering, like, what specific do we look in competitive analysis, and then we move on for our own product. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. We have Prabhat Sharma. I wanted to ask something. Uh,
Okay.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hi Prabhat, good evening.
Sir, I want to ask a simple question: is that I am a second year BB student and I wanted to do UX UI designing, but I am quite confused. But as I've seen, a company named Masai School, a
Not
company
really. Okay.
a company named Masai School used to teach coding to students for 9 month program and make them a coder. And they, I
Okay.
mean, they have a plan of pay after placement. So this company has launched a program Design Shift, in which they are going to teach students UX UI designing for you can say 6 months, and then we have to need to pay. We only make it place. So you think that it's important. I think I need to start my journey by getting this, applying in this course, or I need to start learning the designing software such as Figma, Adobe XD to become good in UX UI designing.
Okay, so your question is whether you should join this college or?
My question is that there is an institution named Design Shift who is going to teach me 30, you can say 6 months of design of UX UI designing, and then I need to pay, or I need to learn software by myself like Adobe XD and Figma as well. So I'm getting confused.
So basically, if you can afford that, you should go for it, because you'll get a lot of understanding from the experienced people. So you won't make the same, you won't repeat the same mistake which other people have done. But saying that, it's also not hard for yourself to download Adobe XD or a Figma, because there in the community you'll find a lot of already file designed, and there is a lot of design system is also there, and people have already designed those apps. So just learn the basics of it, and you basically self learn can be done. There are a lot of resources available on YouTube, and there are a lot of blogs have been written on Medium and Musely and other people. Like you'll find, and there is a one site called sidebar.io, where they publish, like they select 5 articles every day related to design, and they post it.
Okay, sir. Sir, also, sir, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I also want to ask one thing, that I'm just using a software named Canva. You must be listening.
Yes.
You must know about it.
Yes.
I'm good at it. I'm using it from the last 6 months, and I'm good in designing YouTube thumbnails and social media templates as well. So I'm getting confused, as my sister told me that you are good at a free software Canva, and UX UI is a very vast thing. So don't you think that by getting good in Canva, it doesn't mean that you're going to be good in UX UI as well? So,
right. So Canva has a limited. It's not meant for scalable, and it's just for just creating a template and just get it shipped, right? It is not meant to design, like it is not meant for a UI UX designer to design their products.
Yes, sir.
So it's limited. So you should learn about like XD, because those are the tool, and you can build anything with it. So I would request you should spend more time on XD, Figma, and the other tools. It's Sketch and all other exist. So it will give you more scalability, and you should learn the tool, but use your imagination.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. So my last question is that, sir, as I'm a BBA graduate, I'm not from a technical background, so I believe that it's quite for me to get in a technical field. So do you think it's going to surpass me? I mean, they are not able to accept me because I'm not from a technical background.
So generally, so the trend which I am seeing is, this is basically you're saying you don't have a formal education or certification in a technical industry. So, but when your work is good, I guess there are a lot of company who values work more than your certificates or education. If you bring them a good quality work and the understanding of the product, they'll hire you. So there are a lot of people are already hiring it. So you don't always need a certification or proper education. If you are good at it and you can actually prove them that you are worth it, you'll get a job. I don't think there's any challenge.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for clearing my doubt. Thank you so much, sir.
No worries.
We have Mohammed Amir with us. He wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hi, Amir.
Yeah, sir. So actually, I am from an engineering background, and I am a third-year student. And I have been doing freelancing from the past 6 months, and have designed mostly web apps and landing pages till now. So, and I'm now looking forward to doing some internships in the evolving startups. So, is there a particular roadmap you would suggest me, or some tips that you would be giving me for landing into an internship?
Can you come again?
Say, like, I was asking, like, can you give me a roadmap or like some tips about landing into an internship? Like, I have been into freelancing. I've been a freelance UI UX designer from the past 6 months, and I have been mostly designing landing pages and web apps till now. So, is there a particular roadmap that you would provide me, or tips to land in an internship?
In design field, you're saying, right?
Yeah, in particularly UI UX design.
So you're saying you already have a portfolio, you have done a lot of freelancing work. So just reach out to the people, whoever is hiring it. Make sure you have an online presence on Dribble, or just post it on the LinkedIn too, like people are doing it. And just reach out to them and showcase your work and show your capability, that how you can bring value to them. By so you can show the quality of your work and how you think about solving a problem. And so just reach out to people. For sure you'll hear back like from a lot of people. And when you go to them, just make sure you're worth it and you're proving yourself. So there's no proper runway. Just reach out to them and showcase your work and build your work. Like post it on social media, tag good designers, and seek for the feedback, seek for the mentorship, and build a portfolio, get it reviewed by people. Like a lot of people are doing it on the YouTube live and all. So get it reviewed it. So even by then, like people will know you and they'll reach out to you and you'll have your presence. And that's how just build a strong portfolio. Yeah, that I would say.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thanks a lot for asking that question. We have Ritik with us. He wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hi, Ritik.
Yeah, I want to ask what are the resources by which you take help to keep yourself updated, and by which you are learning, and which help us to learn. Like what I get till now is UX is more about user experience, all about user
Yes.
experience, and it's
Yes.
a combination of design, copywriting, and all of the stuff to make a user more comfortable with our product. And it's
Yeah.
not only a digital, it can be a physical any product. So
Right.
how you keep yourself updated and learn new skills? And related question to it also, like when you are starting your journey like 10 to 12 year ago, you don't have a clear roadmap of how to start. So you started just learning, means grabbing the information and uh, make, and after that dots connect. So it is the way, or you clear your mindset like I have to go in UX and UI designer and just learn in that particular
Got
field,
it.
or you learn
Got
everything.
your point. Got your point. So generally, life is not that simple. You are clear about everything, and you'll directly go there, right? So it's already ups and downs, and you have to keep yourself updated. So the places I look for is I go to Dribble, I go to Pinterest, I go to Behance, and look for the inspiration. And I use a lot of apps and the websites. See what they all are doing it, right? So that's how I keep myself updated. And so even like eventually when you're doing this, so you're just preparing it, right? And the other side, you have to execute it, you have to build your presence, you have to contribute to the industry, right? So by doing it, reach out to the people, share your knowledge, talk to them, go to meetups, talk, and post a lot of work and share your knowledge, write a blog. So whenever someone want to hire you, they'll know that what you're capable of. By so how like again, like I might repeat the same thing, that what value will you bring as an individual, right? And what you're capable of, so you can show your interaction skills, you can show your UI skill, you can show your how you think and solve the problem.
Okay, actually, like you said, ki, go to the people and show your work. Like what I feel, I'm not currently so much capable of like doing great stuff. So I'm keeping myself in a shell that when I become capable of, when I learn a lot, when I'm able to do some work, then I will showcase. So what's your point on that? Like, should I start uh, sharing on social media now, or after some time
Somewhere you have to start, right? I mean, it's your personal level that is stopping you, you're the one who's stopping you. So just go for it. It's okay if you fail, but you would not regret later, because you already got a lot of feedbacks and you have seen the failures, so you won't make the same step again. So that's how you learn, is what I feel. So just start wherever you are, however you are, and just make sure whatever you're building, you're proud of it. And just share the best output in there.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Awesome, Ritik. That was a great question. We have KP with us.
Yeah.
KP. KP, can you raise your hand so I can just unmute you? Yeah. Now you can go on.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Ajinkya. Thank you for your time.
Sorry, like I wanted this to be more meaningful and insightful, but somehow the things got nervous and like I wasn't able to. But that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for your time, for sharing your experience with the community. I have a couple of years of experience in Android development, and I want to start my own startup now.
Okay.
So I have this question that before starting, because I'm in the initial phase right now. So how much time do you think I should dedicate to designing the application instead of focusing on the functionality? Or can I initially focus on the functionality and the designing process can go along the way? What's your take on that?
Okay. So basically, when you're designing, you should know how it functions, right? So function comes first, and when you're working on how the app will function and how the flow will be designed, for that, just focus on that first. And like if I were you, I'll and whatever knowledge I have, so I would just create how the flow will work. I'll just make sure all the things whichever I wanted to capture, those are in place and they are connected. So maybe you can create a low fidelity wireframe and just create the interaction and then go for the UI, because UI and the visual of it, you can change it multiple times. It's just an overlay or a skin you are just adding on top of it, and you can change it easily. It's a very quick job. But let's say if the flow you have created is not in place, so again, let's say if you have to change it again, so you have to change the UI and then UX, right? But the UI, when the UX is in place, it doesn't take a lot of effort for you to change it, and you know the all aspect of it. And like it's up to you, like how much time you can dedicate it. But like whenever you feel that you are comfortable to reach out to the people, just make sure you are well prepared when you're going for an interview, so you won't make much mistakes and you will be able to present yourself well with a good quality of work. And you should have a understanding, like as you're already a developer, you know how the function works, right? So just make the best experience and show multiple UI iterations, so they also know that you're not just sticking to one thing, you know a lot about, like a lot more about it.
So basically, UX is a continuous process, you're saying.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be perfect in the first run. We can gradually work on that.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, and you have to evolve it, right? I mean, whatever you have built it for the first time may not work. So you should know if something fails, what could be the other way. Because if there was a single way, all people might have used the same and they would have done it. But they're changing it. That's why you're using it. When you know something exactly how it works, then you will get bored of it. So it has to be more fun, more interactive, and more abstract. And like it has to solve a problem first thing, but these things changes to keep you engaged and motivated.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, man. Good stuff.
That was a great question. Yeah. I mean, I also got some tips about how to start a product from scratch. Yeah. We have Bhavya with us. Hey, Bhavya.
Hello, sir. So, sir, my question is, I read somewhere that designers, they hack people's psychology so that they can get more growth and they can get more attention on their products. And like a few minutes back, you talked about TikTok कि उनका user base इतना friendly है कि चाय वाले से लेकर समोसे वाला तक मतलब it's very easy for them to use it. So has psychology any role to play in designing?
Interesting question. So you should know what you want user to achieve it. and you might feel if, because you won't always have a silver bullet that this experience will work for everyone. So you might have to iterate on it, right? And you would play differently psychologically to a different set of user and this one, right? And you have to make sure you're solving for the 80% of the users. So whoever is on the 20%, they might not work for them, but the psychologically what, where is the majority of people are focusing on, and how they are using it. So it comes with how, when you're doing a user testing with them, how they are actually using it, and try multiple iterations. So you will somehow you'll end up at a place that a lot of people are making sense here, right? So you have to play it well, and make it in an intuitive manner, that your work is also getting done and people are also enjoying it and sticking to it. And just imagine, like, there are people where there are places where you can see videos, right? There are a number of people, but they kept it like 30 seconds or 60 seconds. So that's a time bomb. And they have given a gesture like, if you don't like something, it's in your control, just switch it back, right? So it's in your control. And if you like something, then show them their personalized data, right? And then in personalized what they, so generally you have to think from the like, they just can't so they add a ad. For ad, the business get money. So you have to make a personalized ad for them, so you know what users are there. And also, if you, so even you won't mind watching an ad between, and it won't disrupt your flow, right, experience. You will again continue watching on it. So yeah, psychologists play a huge role there. I mean, my 2 cents on it. You just have to keep iterating and understand your user, and try to give them the proper experience or the best experience possible, so they won't leave your app. They'll keep engaging it, and it'll work fine for everyone. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, great question. Yeah. We have Mohan with us. Hey, Mohan.
Yeah. Hi, Mohan.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ajinkya. I really could grasp what you're saying from the beginning. You are speaking from the heart, and I salute to you for that. My question is like, I know for the fact that, UX is more of, I mean, you answered the previous question about psychology and all those, and it's never ending story. So my basic fundamental question is that, from your opinion, what is the fundamental design rules that a designer should follow? Because this is never-ending story. I don't know when you stop this design. You said the testing and all those stuff, you'll end it somewhere. But what is the basic fundamental design principles as a designer I should follow, and where can I find to read more about that? If you can share those things, I would be really happy. Yeah, thank you.
Got it. Thanks for the question, Mohan. I mean, it's a very valid one, and it works. Like, you should be basically those are the principal question.
Yes, sir.
People should be aware of it, right? So design has to function. If you have whatever basic, like, sorry to go give you a very cliched answer, but that's the truth. If you're opening a Swiggy app, you should be able to choose a food and order it, right? When you're trying to order any food, like maybe a clothing, so you should be able to order it. And so that's a definition. And a lot of people, there are Amazon, there is a Flipkart, there are other social e-commerce app, right? So how the journey will start? Basically, when you're looking for, considering the use case of the food delivery, user's intention should be very clear, and you should let his get the job done. You can play in between, but you make sure you're grabbing their attention. This is the gray area you can play with, and make sure they should feel the sense of achievement that they have done it. Maybe when you're paying for it, you should, when you use the Google Pay or Phone Pay, you enter their name, you can do any fun stuff in middle, but show them that the payment is done, right? So giving the sense of completion, and key feedback, basically that feedback, visual or any audio or a static feedback, or first to attention is to grab the attention. You can play with someone's mind when you have their attention.
Okay.
First, seek for attention. Make a logical communication between the user. So they should come to you again next time. Like it's like a relationship, how you build with the people. Whenever you, so that's how you build the product, right? And that's how you will open to it and you'll check on it. Imagine like when you use Instagram, what you expect is to see every time you open, the fresh data should be there. That's the assumption, right? And you will only see the stories in a different way. You'll see a post in a different way. When you're posting it, that's a different approach, right? So you have some aim to get your job done, right? So
Yes.
First principle, you should have very clear what you're actually trying to do. Have a base layer, very concrete, and then play on top of it. And keep this engaging, keep this fun, keep this intuitive. So make it likable. And how do you make it? By keeping on top of the trend, how people are doing it, how you can make the best of it. And okay, there'll be failures. Let's say you can't always make fun stuff because business has to solve a problem. वो बोलेंगे कि इतना बड़ा सा बटन दिखा दो तो लोग click करेंगे. And that is obvious. When you show a big button, people will click on it. But make sure you're not showing yourself too bechu. Then, I mean, you won't respect that person, right? So that's how you have to make it.
All right.
So I might have given a very broad view, but
no, I get your point.
yeah, so these are the principles.
Yeah, that's perfect. Divyansh, one more thing can I ask? Divyansh?
Go on.
Yeah, thank you. It's not a question, but just to complement what Ajinkya was saying. You know, when we go to Gmail or any Google product, you don't need a training. You just assume and it's there.
Yeah.
To search for a compose button, it's there. I mean, I really like how these designers, they come up with this idea of it's so easy to use it. Just go and just come back. I mean, I would like to see such kind of design in my product. You don't need to search for things. I mean, this is what I felt when I use such.
It should be there. One thing I just want to add that,
Yes,
Mohan, as you correctly mentioned that Steve Jobs was the person that when he introduced Apple products, he doesn't want user to read the manual.
Yeah.
In the early days, you might have seen every product used to come with a manual.
Yes.
How to use it.
Yes.
There are certain physical products comes with how to use it, right? But in the digital place, you have to be to the point, intuitive, and get yourself done very easily. Right. So it comes naturally when you notice, like I've been repeating this self again, like observe, and because these things are very important, you should be aware of it. Even if you're not using it, you know how they are playing with your mind, where they want your focus to go, what they actually want you to complete it, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. And before you leave, whatever the sites you mentioned, please, if you can type in the chat later, I would be happy to. So it helps.
I feel really sorry. Like I wanted this to be more insightful, but somehow in the middle, like it went
it's fine. It's fine for me.
I really apologize for that.
No, it's fine.
No, it was fine. It was really insightful. I mean, yeah.
No.
I wanted this to be more engaging and all, but I feel like extremely,
No need to be sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Divyansh. Thank you.
It's awesome. Thanks a lot for asking that question. Yeah. We have Aman with us. Hey, Aman.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Hi, Aman.
Hi, Ajinkya. So, Ajinkya, I'm also a product designer working in the field of the product design from past 1.5 years. I worked with healthcare and construction and SaaS. So one problem that I faced while in between my experience, I wanted to ask at that point is, when we are creating, for example, we are creating a product and we build it something and we take it for the feedbacks and get a feedbacks from the people and everyone's, and then we find out that this experience is somewhere not working and we need to think for something else, or we need to create a new flow or something like that. We came to back to design, and then we have something biased for our designs. Like for a designer, there is something like a bias for their design that they hear. So at that point, I feel like stuck. I am thinking around only those particular points that I have designed. I'm not really taking that to a different perspective or somewhere else. So I feel somewhere I stuck as a designer when it comes to changing our own designs, or I feel like a bias for my designs. No, this thing is good, but somewhere I feel I need to think something different. So at that point, how you gonna deal with that particular thing? And like any suggestion over there, how to empty our mind while creating our own designs again?
Interesting question. So basically, two things. Okay, so I'll talk more on the second point. Don't empty your mind. Build on top of it. Make it interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't never empty, because then you have to restart again. So build on top of it always. Okay. Second thing, the product is not all about you, right? So it's about the people. There are a lot of people engaging. There are users. So see how people uses the product. Okay. Take few controls in your hand. If there are 3 steps, add 4. Just add, because you feel that if people do this, then it might convert well. Instead of 3, add 2 steps. See how they use it. If your page fold is this, increase it, add more data, and see how they interact with it, and see what business or like what you want them to achieve it, they are actually solving for it. If it's not happening, then you have to keep iterating on it and see it how people are using it, right? So you're not the one you're designing it for, right? So these are just your personal biases, and it won't help you also and the product. It will come with the other people and the user inside the team, because they have the plan, they know the past and they know the future, because you should also take their feedback and understanding from them and see whatever you have built, how people are using it. If you don't feel satisfied and everything, so okay, there are bad things, so you might fix for it. There are good things, so you know what to do. But keep iterating on it, so you know what works and what don't, right? So let's say for credit card bill company, a lot of people pays the bill from 25th to 5th of every month, right? So generally, see how's the trend there, and how does the trend looks like in the other days, right? Peak time pe, normal time pe, kaisa behavior hota hai. So you will understand clearly about what's your product, how people interact with it, and so even before making the next decision, you know this will work, because you know the pattern and the behavior of the user and the product. So just don't constrain it to yourself, expand it, and just keep iterating it. I mean, does it make sense?
Yeah, like I got that point. But major thing was when I design something and we will give it for a feedback or get everyone's feedback. Somewhere when we came back to designing that particular thing, our thoughts rotate around those things only. For example, we go with a card view or something. For example, we go with a card view, or we go with a layout view. Then we can't think something else that will make that particular thing like.
So take a break, go to Dribble, Behance, or any other place. See, you'll find whatever you're trying to do, people have already solved it. If you think you're just roaming around the card, remove the card. Play with the text, play with the spacing, create a group functionality, add a different background color, give a separate color to the element. It'll stand out, right? So just there are multiple ways it. So if you feel, I mean, you know exactly where you're stuck, right? So try something else. Look for the inspiration, and even if you're not sure, take someone's help, because sometimes what happens when you're too attached to the problem, you can't even think a lot. So you have to listen to the other people to whom you trust. Just don't ask random guy and take the decision based on them. You should know to like what people you're taking the feedback from.
Yeah, man, got it. Solve the problem. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was really great question. Yeah. We have Abhiram with us. He wanted to ask a question.
Yeah. So good evening. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So basically, I do motion design. It's what I'm really interested in. So I just wanted to know what role does motion design play in product design? For example, or in an app or in a website. What use cases or applications does motion design have?
Very interesting question. And like at Cred, compared to the other application, whatever we have seen, a lot of people didn't used to do a lot of motion designing, but Cred started doing it. Maybe like we used to have a celebratory lotties. I mean, you are aware of it. What is lottie, right? And I hope you are right, Aviram.
Yes.
Hello. You know what is lotties, right? So basically it's an animation which you play in a vector format. You design it in After Effects and you code it into the which style. I mean, yeah. So to answer your question, motion design plays a very important role in a product. Motion design tells you what's your attitude of product. When you become too subtle and too too jazzy, too fancy, too strong and bold colors and very fast animation, and basically okay, just to give you a proper sense, motion design, can I include interaction also here, or just motion? When you're saying, is it about the videos or just the animation, or can I include the interaction too?
It could be anything, wherever there is motion involved, motion design involved.
Yeah, so I mean, like how the screen is moving, right? If it's a page or a bottom sheet,
yeah,
so behavior is different, right? In interaction also. So,
yeah, right.
So again, like how the animation and the card comes when you tap on something, how the information will load, right? When it's very static, you don't enjoy it, and when you see something is loading, so you have to show a proper loading pattern. And so basically it plays a lot of more than static thing. When you animate something and when you able to grab their attention, it solves it differently. You don't even have to tell it, it can be easily seen.
Okay, so when we're putting these motions, or let's for example say this transition from one page to another app,
yeah,
so that is motion design basically. So
basically any animation happens on the product, that is motion design, is I would call.
Yeah, sure. So do they include already a pre-designed motion graphic, or do they code that motion inside the app?
No, generally they create on After Effects and they export a code and share with a mobile team. So generally, if you take the already exists in the market, then where is your creativity? Let's say if you are on certain project where you don't have the bandwidth, and so you can take the existing one. But when you're creating something from scratch and everything is original to you, then
no, I mean the custom designs itself. So my question is, do we use designed outputs as animations or motion graphics in an app, or do we code them?
Depends. I mean, sometimes coding rendering is faster because it's native. It can be easily seen. But when you create a video, to load that video, it takes a lot of processing on the device, and it might take some data, and the experience might be jarring there, right? So based on what cause or like what purpose you are using the animation or the motion, it's required. But generally people do it natively because it's faster, and natively sometimes again Android has a different system where it renders differently, and iOS is much smoother. Like Android is still not able to get the background blur effect, and iOS has been doing since the ages. So again, the platform specific is also matters, but generally developer prefers coding, but it takes time, but it's rendered faster. So you have to play a balance. I mean, what to give when based on the requirement.
Okay, so can you please share more applications of motion design? A few examples.
Maybe if you can open the lottifiles.com, Lottie files, LOTTI. I'll just so maybe you can find already people have done. they already have designed. You'll find a resource here. So
Okay.
So you can see all the animation, how they have done it. And maybe on the Behance, you can go and see how the people are playing in motion, subtle or like just the text animation or the background animation and the gradients or the actual videos.
Okay, got it.
How much time do we have, Ajinkya?
Maybe I can see 3 hand raised, so we can just solve those and maybe we can.
Awesome. We have Manav with us. Hey, Manav.
Hello, Ajinkya.
Hi, Manav. Yeah.
Hey, so I wanted to ask, like, in a company like Cred or something, for example, there are several stages the design team goes through. Like, there could be a stage where you are building the whole design from scratch, and there could be a stage where you are like designing a whole new version upgrade or something.
Right.
So apart from these heavy stages, what are the what is the work like for the design team like on those stages, and is that heavy, like similarly heavy, or is that similarly challenging or intriguing than those like major stages of design?
Okay, so when you're designing from the scratch, you are not very sure what you're building and how people will react to it. So you have to play a lot. I mean, you have to be ready with multiple fallback options, right? So there is a risk mode, there is a not 100% surety. And if people are doing more, then you need to check and be on top of it with, if this is working, play more on top of it and see how they interact with that. And when it's not a design from scratch and it's just an update, you can't change the whole experience. You have to make sure of that, and you need to make sure that whatever you are building, that should at least survive for an year. So again, if you're not able to upgrade in the between, so whatever you have, your new approaches, that solves the problem for the scalability. Yeah. So and again, like upgrading, again, like it depends, like are you upgrading on a single feature or the complete app? So generally we have been doing, like we have 3 version and there'll be one more very soon. So make sure your business goals are not hampering, users are not churning out, their experience is getting become, when you're calling it as an upgrade, it should actually feel like an upgrade, it should actually feel refresh, actually people should enjoy it, right? There might be a bit learning curve when people, because even when we shift something new, we face some challenges, right? But make sure that learning curve is not that strong, and make sure that learning curve is not there, it's self-explanatory. So just understand those basics and take the step in a way that nothing gets hampered and the upgrade feels like an upgrade. And does it solve, or this was very abstract?
Yeah. Though, like, how is it like for the design team? Like, how do you feel about the scratch phase and the upgrading phase, and the like? There must be some like light phases too, where there isn't any upgrade upcoming or something, and you're just adding in a bit of features or two. Like, how do you feel about all these phases as a designer?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Like, which one do you enjoy more, and what really feels better to you?
I mean, I really enjoy starting from scratch, as you can go all the places when you know exactly what problem you're trying to solve. And when you're upgrading it, it's a bit limited. You can build only on top of it and to give the best experience, right? Considering a personal choice, I would go for start from scratch. But generally, when you're working for a company, I mean, you don't always get that opportunity. When you are joining an early startup or early ideas, then only you'll be able to play. But for freelance, you can do it, or for the concept, you can do it for your sake of it. But yeah, I mean, generally in the companies, you get to work only on the upgrade. But when I joined here, like the version which I created, that was from bit scratch and not just build on top of it. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
Also, just in addition to this question, like how do you manage the synchronization between all these stages? Like they're synchronized with the product vision as a whole. Like how do you manage that?
Synchronize with?
Like there's a stage between like creating the design from scratch, and there's a stage where you just have to upgrade on top of it. So how do you synchronize all these stages, depending upon the vision for a product?
Yeah,
Like
so there are multiple stakeholders when you work for a company. There are business. You need to make sure business is working as fine as earlier, and it should, when you're upgrading it, make sure it actually brings with some numbers. So you have to commit that if you do this, then, or else they'll say like chal acha to chal raha hai, upgrade ki kya zarurat hai. So you have to make sure when you're doing the upgrade, actually some numbers are moving it, right? And there are multiple stakeholders, basically business. You have to make sure and give the confidence that, bro, everything is in control. We'll make sure nothing gets hampered. If some things get messed up, we know this can be the fallback option and this will survive, right? You have to make sure with the engineering team, because you're changing everything for them. Make sure everything works similar way and everything is in place, because it's not always happy flow. There are error flow. There are some, you'll get some API failure. You'll get a bad request and all. Sometimes how to handle all those things. So you make sure you are aligning engineering to business too. And there are some operational team also on the side. So if they're uploading creative, they might be doing on daily work. So you have to align them and give the confidence that we are working as a team, and just don't take everything on yourself, because everyone is a part of it. Everyone is contributing. You're not the only one who's doing it. So make sure just carry everyone along and give them the vision, what you're building on it. And it's okay if you fail, but don't just make sure you have the backup option when something gets bad, and just be on top of it. Take this as a responsibility. Everything will come as a naturally, because you're dealing with the people here. So you know how to react when something gets bad.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. We have two more questions.
Yeah.
We have Himika with us.
Yeah.
Hi, Ajinkya. I hope I'm
Hi.
audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Hi, Divyansh. Sorry, I missed the beginning of the session. Were you a self-taught designer or you took up a course?
Actually, I have done a BFA, Bachelor in Fine Arts. That was the college degree, but actually I haven't learned that much. But I got to know basics about how the color theory works and the history of art. But in the digital world, I learned it myself and through the internet and talking to people and seeing the resources available and meeting them often, like going to meetups and learn how they are doing, what's happening in the industry, how can I become it, what are the challenges I am facing, and how can break the barrier and actually come out and help the industry, as well as just play my best role. How can I do that, right? So even like when I started as a graphic designer, I was not sure what is UI UX. When I got into the UI, I was not sure whether I'll be able to crack the UX. But when I did this, but I got to know that I'm more of a UI person, so I should be doing UI and UX. And then if you're a designer, you touch multiple points of the product. So make sure you want to be, because when you're part of everything, it comes with the responsibility. You own it, so you behave like that and you take the responsibility and you make sure nothing gets messed up and everything is on track.
Okay. So actually,
learning this with the experience.
I'm a second year student in BTech, and I'm exploring stuff to find my niche right now. So currently I'm learning web development. I'm doing CSS right now, but I would also like to explore product designing. So are there any steps that you would, recommend that I should follow, so that, some roadmap kind of thing?
So, I mean, again, it depends. You can learn it by yourself, or there are already courses exist, which like people are offering for $4.99, or like
do you recommend going to Udemy courses, or should I, find a good course on YouTube that you know?
Basically, I would request if you can join any offline courses, because the life is in back and people are, because when you talk offline, you get to know the people in person, how they actually do certain stuff and how they react to it, and you'll actually see, are they even happy? Like, is it even worth it?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and when, like, we have been 2 years completely in front of the laptop, and we get a lot of silos, and when you work with the people and know them and see, and so basically you learn a lot, you'll get a lot of inspiration out of your comfort zone. So if you can get that, get the education, but don't stop learning by yourself, because that's when you actually grow. That's where you'll make mistake, you will try to make mistake in front of the people, but
Getting
you can make
feedback
mistake.
from people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so prep yourself and spend more time there, but make sure you are getting aware of what's happening in the industry and where you belong and where do you want to see yourself, and
Yeah,
how do
but
you bridge the gap.
when we go for offline courses, most of them are fraud, they say that they'll teach you this, that, but in the end, the amount of substance that you're gaining is very less.
I can't be sure of someone's commitment, what they're providing and all, and not everyone gets the same experience. Might be some personal level, and so you should see how, what are the feedbacks. Like, you should, instead of talking to their management, talk to their student.
Students, yeah, absolutely.
Talk
That's a
who
good
already
suggestion.
got a talk to who already got the placement. See the people, you'll find a lot of people who hasn't got the placement. See if it's the student's problem or the management's problem, because management might put a lot of effort, but what if student is not worth it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, talk to them and just understand it, and there are a number of courses that is happening. So
Okay. Thank you so much.
no
Awesome.
worries.
That was great having you, Ajinkya. Like that was a really good session on product design, and yeah, I mean, we really could get some insights on how how to design a product from scratch and what's the process goes on, right? So thanks a lot for taking that up. And yep, I guess you can wrap this up. Guys, we're gonna have a designathon this weekend, and I mean, on your announcements, we have shared a Notion doc, so it has all the guidelines for the designathon, and we have also shared a form for registration for the teams. So for tomorrow, we will be releasing the problem statement for the weekend. So stay tuned for that. It will be around 8 p.m. And then before that, it's gonna be a design teardown session. So tune in for that also, and it's gonna be at 7 p.m. So yeah, see you guys there. Awesome. I think thanks a lot for coming. I guess we can wrap
Thank you
this
so
up.
much. Sorry, guys. Like, if someone felt like it was a bit off in the middle, because I generally feel that that has happened.
No,
So really sorry, guys.
no, it was really great session. I mean, people really got their answers, really got their questions answered. So yeah, I mean, that's what matters, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Guys, reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, wherever it's possible, and please do share feedback. I'll make sure, like, if whenever we meet next time, it'll be worth a while. I mean, I just feel.
yeah. I mean, yeah. What you can do is you can share your handles to Viraj, and then we just put it on our announcements. How about that?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
everyone.
Cool, cool. Thanks a lot for coming. Yeah. Have a great night.
Thanks, Ajinkya. It was a great session.
Thank you so much.